I've heard that it's best to like title whatever you're writing if you're writing a book like at the end, but I can't. I need something now, which is not good, and I keep like going back and forth because I had a title and now I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm attached to it. So I'm just gonna read like what I would put on the back of the book, which by the way, this is all like not solidified. But again, I know people say put it like wait till the end, but I need to. Okay, let me just read it. When a dying scout gives Arya intelligence about an invasion, she makes a promise. She'll warn the king. It doesn't matter that getting to the king seems impossible. She gave her word, and Arya doesn't break promises. Quinn's heard this story 1,000 times. Girl gets mission, girl does something incredibly reckless. Usually there's a brooding king involved somewhere. But this isn't a story, this is Arya making a choice. Quinn knows Arya well enough to know that there's no talking her out of it. So Quinn makes their own choice. They're going to, because that's what best friends do. Where one goes, the other follows. The warning is just the beginning. Soon they're breaking into castles, navigating court politics, and facing a war that becomes all too real. Both Arya and Quinn find themselves deeper than they planned with relationships that complicate everything. When everything falls apart, Arya's strategies and Quinn's instincts might be all that stand between survival and disaster. They didn't plan to be heroes, but best friends stick together no matter what. Originally it was titled Where Else Would I Be because it's centered around the friends. Like Quinn and Arya, the main characters, like it is centered around them. Like, yeah, there's love interest and like political stuff in the courts and all that in the court and all that, but it is really centered around that where like Arya is genuinely like optimistic, wants to do best and do the right thing, and Quinn is meta aware of like tropes and things and very sarcastic, but is like super loyal to Arya and is a good balance to Arya's like innocence and sweetness, but also helps Quinn kind of put that like sarcasm wall up that they have and bring it down a little bit. But again, maybe I stared at it too long, but I was like, I don't know. Like I think about like if I go, because I love going to the bookstore and like checking out books, and I'm like, if I were to see a title of Where Else Would I Be, I don't know if I would think the same thing that I'm thinking regarding what I know my book is about. That made no sense. But basically I'd be like, I don't know if people would get it. So then because of the fact of like the sarcasm and like wanting it to be this thing where it's like kind of like not found family, but just like really good people, really genuine, it's very sweet, friends to lover kind of thing. Well, friends to lover, yeah, kind of. Anyways, so the ideas were friends and fate, crowns and conspiracy, this wasn't the plan, war and whatnot, swords and sarcasm, castles and consequences, and against better judgment. The reason I'm having a hard time is because of the fact that like it is like medieval fiction, you know what I mean, like it's fantasy fiction kind of, but without the magic. And so I want it to like kind of be clear in some sense that it's that, which is where like the crown and conspiracies, war and whatnot, swords and sarcasm and castles and consequences comes from, but also focusing on like the fact of like it is a funnier thing of friends. So like this wasn't the plan, against better judgment, I think is really sweet. How do people do this? Like how do they solidify this stuff? And again, I think like most of them do at the end, but like I can't, my brain won't let me continue without it. And I forgot to mention it is a standalone. I know some people like choose their titles kind of based on if they're going to do other books. I'm not doing that. Eventually I'm going to write a trilogy, but that's not like for years to come, and I might not even do it.